Hey, it's Matt Pinfield. It's Wednesday, and this is In a Lonely Place. It's a song by New Order, a song by the Smithereens. It's a Humphrey Bogart movie, and we named it this because, I live alone. I do have friends to visit, my Andre who works on the show with me here, but literally, I'm by myself most of the time here. And so many of you are. I mean, we are definitely doing self-quarantine. We're sequestered. Our families were away from some of the people we love. And it certainly has affected the music industry and really every industry. But, for our people, the people that we love, whether it's, somebody who's a DJ to a roadie to, like a tech person. It's so many people are out of work right now. So the idea is that we came up with this idea to do this show with Linda Perry and with Carrie Brown and Chris Rivera and those guys. And I said, let me do a cool show where I talk to my friends about their careers, their music, what's going on in their lives. We talk about their favorite records. Because that's, at the end of the day, the thing that gets you through everything is music. It always is. And it's always got me through since I was a little kid. So it means the world to me. And I want to say my guest today, I love very much. Man, in 1990, when we met the first time, his third album, Hold Me Up, came out on Metal Blade. And I was music director of a radio station, great radio station, Asbury Park, New Jersey, called WHTG 106.3. And I fell in love with their album. And we banged it. We played the shit out of it. We played a lot of it all the time. And then we became friends. We met right there in Asbury, and we've had a friendship that's been going for 30 years. And I'm just so proud of all the great songs, records, albums, everything that they've done. I love, I love Johnny. I love Robbie. And so I just want to say, I'm going to welcome right now just an amazing human being and an incredible songwriter and singer, the one and only Johnny Rzeznik of the Goo Goo Dolls. Johnny, what's up, brother?
Hey, Matt. Great to see you, brother. Great to see you. What's going on?
How you doing, man? It's funny. Like we're both East Coast guys, and I know you live in Jersey now.
Dude, I love it here.
Yeah, man, it's a great state. So much. It's most of my history. I love New Jersey so much.
Yeah.
And I have so many friends there, and a lot of pride in the things that I've been able to do there. I was telling a guy yesterday how I was asked for the New Jersey Hall of Fame to present the radio award to the Marconi Foundation. And I got on stage at the PAC Center, but the same night it was cool. It was like, Jim Brewer was presenting Abbott and Costello's daughters with an award. So Bruce Springsteen's mom was there, Adele, and I giving her birthday cake. Buzz Aldrin, an astronaut, he was there.
I know Buzz.
It was like, it was just this great, really cool evening. And I was thinking,
evening though, it must have been.
Yeah, it was really fun. It's a long time, but it was like 2009. Johnny, listen, man, I have been a fan of yours and your songwriting since you were such a young guy. You and I guess I kind of look at it like we were coming up at the same time because I just started as a music director, and man, I got the album and I just, there you are, just the way you are. There were so many things on that record that I loved, and I would always come out and see you play. Like I came to see you in New York, Jersey, no matter where it was, because you guys were one of the best live bands around, period. You were so incredible live.
Thank you.
About those early days. And I'd love to know how you and Robbie actually met, because you guys, I love that unbreakable, unshakable bond that you two have that you've been working
on. Yeah, it's interesting, that we've been able to hang on to it this long. Robbie and I first met, I was in a band with his cousin, just super hardcore band. All these were all like suburban guys, and I was a city kid. And but they needed a guitar player, and I just was in college for about 2 weeks, and this girl I was dating said, "Hey, I know these guys that need a guitar player in their hardcore band." And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then because I just wanted to play in a band, and the bass player was Robbie's cousin. And Robbie was a bass player as well. Robbie was Paul, Robbie's cousin, was leaving the band to go to college because he was going to be an archaeologist. We're like, what? Okay. So Robbie was going to take his place in the band. And then Robbie and I met each other and just said, we should start our own band. And that's what we did. And we've been together ever since.
Which is amazing. So, as I know you 30 years, we've been friends.
Yeah.
That was the third album too. Hold Me Up, and it's one of these things where I loved that you would cover songs like "A Million Miles Away" by the Plimsolls or Prince. I could never take the place of your man. Like I just love
Lance Diamond.
Right? I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, just because was that because you would do those songs live, or you just said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna throw these on the album. We love these two. We're gonna do it."
There were songs that we really loved, and we were really until a few stations like HTG and that would actually play us. We were dealing always with college radio, and at that point in time, it was easier to get college radio to play like a just revved up version of a cover song. So it was like, so that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to get the college radio station in Buffalo, which Tom Calderon, 6 degrees of separation here, was.
Yeah.
He was running the college radio station in Buffalo that we were trying to get played on. So and it was fun. But there were just songs that had a big influence on my writing. They're those songs that get under your skin, you know what I'm saying? And they just, every time you hear them, they just these emotions just kind of well up inside of you, to this day. When I hear the original, Million Miles Away, by the Plimsolls, and just hear, it's so much better than our version. But we were like, now we're gonna kill this. We're gonna play it twice as fast as them. But it was fun, and there are songs like that always just get under my skin, and they don't leave me,
Yeah, I love those songs too. Isn't it funny how there are songs in your life where you just didn't, like you said, the minute you hear a song like that, it goes boom, boom, and it just like kicks in. It just, you feel something that it's unexplainable. The love.
It is unexplainable, and it's a strange connection between. It's like two separate pieces of the universe just
Yeah.
And it fills you. Like you call the show In a Lonely Place. And what's really funny is that I'm very, very familiar with that Bogart film. That's one of my favorite films. He's a screenwriter, and it's a great movie, and it fills the hole. We all have this existential kind of gap in ourselves, and for me, it was always music that filled it. First, it was music, then it was then it was other shit. But
hey, you and I both been there. We know that.
Yeah,
right.
But the music, it's like it's still something that the purity can't be touched. It's an unadulterated kind of joy that just fills the void, Yeah,
it does. And thank God we have it right now, man. I'm just like, listening to the song. I mean, it's at times like these, I'm sure with you, with your family at home, and because we can't really go anywhere, it's just, that's the thing that's keeping us going, and
yeah. I swear, I mean, and you are beloved by everyone in the music business and elsewhere. And I mean, I would not give up. I would not give up the time I'm having at home with my family for anything. And I mean, you live alone there. You're saying,
yeah. Well, I have 2 grown-up daughters.
Yeah.
Daughter one in Brooklyn, and I was in a relationship for a few years, and I ended it. I wanted, it wasn't working, so I ended it. But I still got so many great friends and the music, and this is a way that I stay in touch.
Yeah,
this right now, which is amazing. Hey, Johnny, so we got to talk about Superstar Car Wash, because what a great record, and the move from Metal Blade to Warner Brothers at that point in time. But I love the fact when you did We Are the Normal, you were a big Replacements fan, and you asked Paul Westerberg to write that with you, which I thought was such a cool thing. You know what I mean? And tell me what that experience was like.
Well, we did it through the mail, which was, I sent him a cassette. He sent me a cassette back, wrote a note. That was the end of it. And then I sent him the finished song back. And then he said that he liked it. And I believe that was the last interaction together about that whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was very strange, but I thought it was a really strong song, and it was just, yeah, I was a big fan of the Replacements, and you know, everything that surrounded it. I just had a really great conversation the other day with Dave Perner from Soul Asylum.
Yeah.
And like, I was just like, what was it like growing up in that scene, you know, with all these people who are so legendary to me, you know, guys like Bob Mould and, you know, that band, The Suburbs, remember those guys?
Yeah.
You know, and all those Twin Tone, you know, bands. And you know, he said it was a very nurturing kind of cool scene, you know, and everybody sort of shepherded each other along, and those were great things. And you know, and Paul was always one of my idols, and I was always very, very like I just love the rawness of what he did. It's just this raw nerve. I mean, you listen to those songs, you know, and it's just, yeah, I mean, they sound like a guy with, you know, it's like a raw nerve, like open, you know, and it was just such a visceral thing and then to get the opportunity to open for the Replacements, you know, and nobody ever gets to know the Replacements, you know, at least we did, you know, and then you know, to have a chance to do something like that was just, it was exciting, and I was always very grateful to him for that, you know.
Yeah, which is amazing. I mean, you know, we look at as your career trajectory went, and you know what happened with A Boy Named Goo, which by the way, I got to go back to New Jersey. I got to go back to New Jersey and get the rest of my gold records.
You still got a warehouse full of records here?
Yeah, that's back there. Like, never mind all the other ones. But anyway, I love that record so much. And, you know, it was a very interesting thing. You know, it rarely happens today where a radio station or a programmer hears a song on a record, because usually, you know, people kind of, things don't break out at markets like they should anymore. No. You know, obviously because there's so many, it's so much consolidation. But
I'm gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but Name, when Weatherly started playing Name, and I know we all did pretty much around the same time, but he pulled that out and he did the flip, and man, changed everything. Tell me about that, because it's such an incredible song. I love that tune. Was it weird? Did you feel like, well, wait a minute, I didn't know if I wanted the ballad to be the single, but it's one of the greatest ever. I mean, and, you know, and I love your ballads. I love your slow, heartfelt songs that have become a big part of the, you know, like literally the musical landscape. I mean, because you always had that both sides. Tell me about it.
I mean, I love ballads. You know, my favorite Alice Cooper songs are the ballads. Only Women Bleed.
I Never Cry.
I Never Cry is a song that I've always wanted to record.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. I don't think I could do it justice. But I Never Cry is such a good song, and I love it. I'm always a sucker for a ballad, and you know, and John Prine just passed, and I loved his music because it was the irony and the gallows humor and the darkness of it. You know, I mean, my dad was a mailman. John Prine was a mailman. And I would imagine, and Charles Bukowski was a mailman, you know? Yeah. So it's kind of like, is there a connection between John Prine, my father, and Charles Bukowski? And people, when I was in college, people were like, you got to read Bukowski. He's so edgy. I'm like, my old man was Charles Bukowski. He would come home drunk off his ass from work and punch the shit out of whatever got in his way. And it, you know, so, but I just love the rawness of it, and that was something to be able to, and that was something that I loved about Westerberg, because he had no problem, and Bob Mould, no problem wearing your heart on your sleeve, and that's what I love. The punk rock thing when you're a kid is so exciting and it's fun, but after a while there were just too many fucking rules, man, and it was just like, yeah, I mean, like I wasn't feeling it. You know, and we were very, very wary of change. And we took Robbie and I made changes in very measured, safe ways because we were terrified of being called sellouts. And then it's like, and then Kevin Weatherly starts playing that song, and and then everybody's like, "Fuck you, you sold out." And I didn't ask him to play the song, and it's like, but so there was a little bit of that weirdness about it,
But I gotta say though, I agree with you. I think that the real truth about punk rock was it wasn't about a uniform. It was DIY, and that's why all the
DIY.
Right? I mean, not that
we were so DIY. We would go to the thrift store, make our own clothes. Robbie and I both worked in a recording studio. He was engineering jingles, and I was scrubbing the toilets and doing tape duplication, so we could get the studio at night and try to figure out how to work all the machinery, and because they would let us do that. So we'd be up all night snorting trucker speed, making music all night, and working there all day. It's like
the old crank, the old East Coast crank. So it was like, but no, it was great. I mean, those are the best stories when I hear things like that about you and Robbie working in a studio and just getting to use that time.
Yeah.
To learn. You know what I mean? It just must have been so cool for you, Johnny, because for me, it's funny. I was playing this really crazy thing that I did when I was in college. I get bored too, and I created this character who did these bizarre songs. I'd be slicing tape and using bizarre, a PSA of a guy going, "Everybody can be somebody, take one," and then just doing this crazy vocal over instrumental. It's just fun.
Does it exist?
Yeah, one of them does. Somebody made a video out of this really crazy song that I did. I used to play because it was a joke. I would play this on college radio, and people thought they were like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And they were like, "It was really crazy."
So I gotta ask you a question, okay?
You got to
explain, because the younger kids out there watching this right now, explain the importance of college radio when we were coming up.
Oh man, really, college radio was what it was. I mean, it was, when we were coming up, there were only a couple of commercial alternative stations in the country, maybe 3. You had HFS in DC,
right?
But we couldn't listen to it, and there's no online.
There was no internet.
K-Rock, you had LAR,
mm-hmm.
And then HTG. Eventually, in '84, I started working there when they, But yeah, there was college radio was everything. That's where you heard everything. And I loved being on college radio. And when I got in there, it was the time where it kind of flipped to the punk and new wave.
Yeah.
It was and all the post-punk. Because right before that, it was more like Zappa, The Dead, it was starting that kind of all out in that area. And then I came into Brian Elvis Costello, Tom Petty, Gang of Four, whatever,
Yeah. What's great? What's great about Tom Petty, Elvis Costello, Gang of Four. It was just, you could play it all, and it educated us. If you were lucky to live within listening distance to that 100-watt radio station that was at the college, you got a musical education, and you instantly became part of the coolest clique in town.
Oh yeah, but that's so wild that Calderon, that Tom, of course, we both know very well. I've worked with, and it's been a big part of VH1 and many other things. MTV. It was the first guy that you were trying to get your music on. That's a great story. It's incredible.
Yeah, taking it over there. And it was funny because he used to host. Excuse me. When I was in high school, he was hosting this thing called All Talk Monday. And it was all talk shows on Monday nights on this college radio station, and he was incredible. And you could call and talk about anything with this guy. And I would call, just make these crazy, we'd have these insane conversations on the air. It was really fun. It
was fun. The stuff that I got away with on college radio is unbelievable. I just got to tell you, we did the craziest stuff ever. The records that I got away with playing, I should have been, the FCC, if they actually been listening, I probably would have been fined or thrown out. But hey, it was so much fun. And we just did crazy creative stuff, and it was a lot of fun. I gotta say, so that's a great thing. I'm glad I'm glad we came up when we did. So we had that. And college radio is still super important. I literally just did a thing, a video for the Rutgers radio station in New Brunswick, RSU. They reach out to me all the time, and And it's funny in the alumni magazine, it's like they break it down by decades. It says 80s Pinfield era. It was like because of that, you know. But I kept doing college radio while I was doing commercial radio part time, just so I could play whatever the hell.
Really?
Until like
a guy like you, that's how much you love music. You know, it's like oh, I'm gonna go back to do my college radio shift on the weekend because I get to play more music I like.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a great time, and that's the kind of people. You and I were just big music fans. And the great thing is, you've written some of my favorite songs ever.
Thank you.
Let's talk about. We got to talk about Iris and how the whole thing went down. Now I know Danny Branson.
Yeah.
Cameron Crowe. I know you knew that whole crew of people.
Mm-hmm.
Danny's he was a great guy and
fantastic person.
Love him. You know, I'll never forget because originally Cameron Crowe reached out to me to be in Jerry Maguire, and
really
happening because I did an audition. I couldn't make it out at that time. I have a great letter from him where he says to me, because we like to watch the Elvis movies, because even the really bad ones are fun. We like, so we have this whole thing about that. And he sends me this email, and at the end he goes, only 2 people don't have to audition for this film, Tom Cruise and Matt Pinfield, which is really funny. We never did do the scene that he, because I ran out of money, I think, in Phoenix doing the football scenes. And our mutual friend who we love so much, Rick Grimm, was the guy, like, I didn't believe when I got the message. I'd only been doing 120 minutes for 3 weeks. And I guess Cameron saw me and went, I want that guy in this film.
Yeah.
So when I got the call, I said, oh, it's bullshit. And but it ended up, it was
120 minutes though was an amazing show that you were involved in on MTV, and it was I mean, you broke a lot of bands, man. That show broke a lot of bands, and I remember being able to be on there, and it was so exciting, and being at home, and it was on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Right. And we wait for that, man. You wait for 120 minutes to come on because you were going to learn something, you know?
Yeah. And that's what I loved. I mean, I always wanted to share music. I always, and you're like me. I never liked the snobbery of, I'm better than you because I like this. No, I want to share it with you. I want you to, I want to always share. So let's talk about Iris. Because I mean, to be talking about Danny Branson, I'll just finish this story quickly. When they were editing Jerry Maguire, Danny and Cameron invited me over to Sony Studios. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching them edit some scenes. And then the 3 of us were standing outside. They were taking a cigarette break. And I remember the one thing they were worried about was that movie that had, I can't remember what, it was like a George Clooney movie with Michelle Pfeiffer, I think. It was like a love movie. And they were like, that was the only thing they were worried about. Of course, Jerry Maguire blew it out of the water. But I remember him saying, Cameron Tom Cruise will do. He said he doesn't care if he has to sit on a park bench for like 2 days to promote this film. Tom said he would do whatever it took.
Yeah. And
so you in City of Angels and Iris, which is just one of the greatest songs ever, man. Like I just. There's many of your songs I love. I love the Rockers, like Lazy Eye.
There was something special. That song came from somewhere. That song came like out of the sky, bashed me in the head, and then it moved right out of my hands. It's like that was one of those weird situations,
Because it was so beautiful, man. And it just. So tell me about it. Did Danny present you with the script? Because he was doing a lot of soundtrack stuff.
I went and I saw the scene in the movie. Pat Magnarella took me over to see Danny, and then we went and saw this. We went and saw the scene in the movie that they wanted the song for, and I was like, wow, what? It was an interesting writing experiment, and I was getting divorced, so I was living in a hotel in Los Angeles, the La Park, and I was sitting there with a guitar that had 4 strings on it. And because I'd broken 2 of them off trying to come up with some weird tuning for this song. And I just thought to myself, what would I say to this woman if I were this guy? And I kind of came up with like a verse and the chorus. And I got 4-string guitar, called Pat. I think I played it for him on the phone. He's like, let's go over and see Danny. We went, we went and played it for him on this shitty guitar with 4 strings. He got it. He got it.
Yeah.
And he was like, let's cut this. And they don't make A&R guys like that, or, you know, whatever. There aren't people in the music industry don't think that way anymore. And it was a big risk. And I'm so grateful that he took it, because I don't know what I would have done without that song. That song literally changed my life. It changed everything about my life. You know,
Yeah.
That's when I went, I'm a songwriter now. This is what I do. Okay. You know, and I had to cut an alternate version for the film because the director didn't like the version that we said was too bombastic for the scene in the movie, and it was his movie, so it's like, okay, fine. You cut, you cut the alternate sort of mellow acoustic version, which I wish I could find someplace, because I don't know what happened to the master of that, you know, but. You know, and then boom, this song just exploded beyond anybody's thing, because I wanted to be on a soundtrack. And I was very attracted to the project because I wanted to be on a soundtrack with Peter Gabriel and U2. And I was like, are you kidding? I'm going to be on a soundtrack with those guys? And just sharing the same hunk of plastic with those kind of artists was just so exciting to me. You know, and I thought, you know, no one's going to listen to us. We had Alanis Morissette, who was probably the biggest female artist in the world at the time. And, you know, U2, Peter Gabriel. I mean, it was just legends. And we were like this dark horse. I never expected it to work out. I never expected it to work out.
Yeah, it was amazing. And, you know, that song is, so many people love that song. There are so many people that will say, it's one of their favorite songs of all time, or it just hit them at the time. And, you know, as you were saying, you know, because we've both been through divorces, and, you know, I mean, you're of course happily married now, but you were going through, you know, you say, you know, sometimes it's that catalyst, right? Where you're going through certain things and it inspires some of your greatest work, right? I mean, it's amazing.
You know, I mean, I don't believe, and you know this as well as I do. I mean, you know, we you know, we do creative work, but you know, we're also chasing or running.
Yeah,
we got to keep running from the demons, man. Sometimes, I mean, you know, and it's like we're both in a great place. I hope you're in a great. Last time we sat down and we were talking, you seemed like in such a great place, and you know, and God bless you, man. You know, and sometimes you got to go to the darkest corner of the room to gather the inspiration and deal with the fear of that, to come out the other end and do something great, you know?
Yeah. And you know, you've done and so many great things since then too. And yeah, you and I were sitting together at Rio de Janeiro. I was interviewing you guys at Rock in Rio. What an incredible show that was.
Well, how crazy was that?
Yeah, you and I are like across the world. It was just like the best. I was thinking to myself, and then you and I started talking about, you know, like you and I have been close for a long time, and very open and honest. We've been that kind of friend forever, you know. So from the beginning, you and I were always like that, and it was just great. We had this. I remember my producer going, "Man," he goes, "You and Johnny just went in the corner, talked for like a half an hour, man." I'm like, "Yeah, because we're brothers, you know. You know, and we do things, you know, and we love each other, and that's what we do. We support each other."
Yeah.
You know, so that was such an amazing trip too, Johnny, because I've been thinking about that while you're sequestered. The fact that I got to go to Rock in Rio, host 7 nights of a broadcast for Live by Live, zip line across that crowd of 150,000. I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? It was wild, man. I was. They go, how you feel, man? With the camera, I go, scared shitless. I literally went, but it was great. It was a great experience. And I was thinking about that, and I just and you guys seeing you there, and Robbie was just so cool, and Pat and man, like I could be across the world, but here are my brothers. You know, these are my friends.
No, it felt very like, it felt great. It felt like we just picked up where we left off, and that was great. You know, and I got to say one thing about that, playing at Rock in Rio, like, and I got to do a shout out to John Bon Jovi, because I mean, he hooked that whole thing up with us. I mean, we went down, we played 5 shows, you know, in Brazil with those guys, opening for those guys. I mean, and it was amazing because we had never been there. Brazil is the second biggest market in the world for us outside the United States, and we had never been there. And then for John to be like, come and open for us. I mean, you're playing in front of 100,000 people every night, and you're getting to open for these guys. And he was so generous about the stage, the lights, the video. You know, there's always, like, when you open for a band, you're kind of at the mercy of what they're going to give you, you know? And it was like the whole thing was open to us. And it was such a great launch pad to start a new career down there. And I got to thank him because I could have went down there and played bars. But no, I got to play in front of, for an hour. He gave us an hour. You know, this is fucking Bon Jovi. Like, fucking one of the most iconic bands in the world.
And one of the biggest touring bands ever. And at the Grammys a few years ago, I was there when Richie was still in the band at the time. I mean, I love Phil X, too. But Richie and I used to work at a little bar together called Charlie's Uncle.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Richie was, it was Matt Pinfield New Wave night on Tuesdays. And then Wednesday, there's a really funny story. I'm sitting there with Richie and John doing an interview at the Grammys. And I go, hey, Richie, yeah, man, I did Tuesday nights, Spinner Records, and you did Wednesday nights, doing Richie's On Board and Friends. He goes, and I did Thursday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights, and Sunday acoustic. And John looks at him and goes, what's the matter, man? You couldn't give our brother another fucking night? But I love those guys. I mean, I grew up in the town next to John, East Brunswick, right next to Saraville. Mm-hmm. You know, the great friend of Dave Bryan's. You know, I stay with Dave sometimes when I go back.
I love that guy.
Is he great? Oh man, he and his wife actually just got over COVID. They had it, and they they had it. Lexi and Dave.
Wow.
But I'm glad they came out of it, because I love those guys. They're long time.
Yeah.
So. But I do. Those guys, I'm so glad he did that to you guys out, because that's cool, man. But yeah, like you said, Brazil loves you, but just getting to go and do that, it was a magical time when we were there.
It really was. It was like there was a moment, and it was funny because John has this massive stage. It's like, Robbie looks like that big from the other side of the stage, and they had this massive thrust out into the audience, and we were like, and they told you can use the thrust, and I'm like, okay, which the thrust is like that piece of stage that the singer goes out on and gets with the crowd, and it was so incredible to have that much room, and there's just the whole thing. You don't understand, like you do, but other people don't understand what it means to have the headliner be generous to you. Because I've toured with, I've opened for bands that ain't no Bon Jovi, and they're just dicks. They're just dicks. It's just like, now you get 2 feet, and you get to play for
and all that, right? I mean, it's amazing. So you think about that, right? You're right. Isn't it funny how a lot of times the best guys are some of the biggest guys? You know what I mean? They're just great. You're more graceful.
Yeah. It's like when we opened for the Stones. They were like, anything you need, guys. And Keith Richards saying, Ronnie and I share a dressing room. You want to come in? And just don't even know. Just come in the dressing room. And you're like, what? And then you're standing at Keith Richards' bar drinking with Keith Richards. It's unbelievable.
Dude, that's amazing. Because I did the first, probably the last interview. And the first one in like 35 years, and it's been 15 years ago now. I interviewed all the Stones. I mean, obviously Bill Wyman had left, but I was the first person to interview all of them at the same time. And then the last, nobody's done it since. With all of them live during that Bigger Bang album. They hired me to do it. And it was Keith drinking Grey Goose and orange Fanta soda when you.
Yeah. He's like, this isn't drinking. We're not drinking. But you got what? No. Jack Daniels is drinking. This is not drinking. I'm like, I see the logic there.
It was so funny. I was like, what the hell's he drinking? Fucking Grey Goose and Fanta orange soda. Where are his taste buds? Oh, no. He was still so cool. He was so funny.
Yeah.
They were all really graceful, great guys. It was so nice to sit with the Stones. I'm sure you had the same experience where they weren't jaded. Like I'm talking to them because it was a live 2-hour interview with their new album. And like they were just if I want to talk to them about like the Some Girls tour or the B-side of Child of the Moon, B-side of Jumpin' Jack Flash, they would talk about it. They were just so nice, man.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. I love that.
Yeah. The great ones like that are, I mean, but what, like, there's no way you're going to blow the Stones or Bon Jovi off the stage. So it's like, they don't really have anything to worry about. So, you know, but it was just nice. It just felt like we were being accepted and treated well, you know, which is a great thing, you know, and those were the big lessons that I took away from that was just like, yo, man, if you're in a position where you're going to headline, be cool to the people that are there. Cause you might be opening for them 2 years from now, you know? And, you know, and, you know, I mean, I don't know. What can I say? I love when people are cool to each other, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, everybody's got to stick together, man. You know?
We really do, man. You know, and I'm telling you something, Johnny, that's what it's like right now for me, you know? Like, I always believed in being kind to people, having a positive attitude, and helping out the next person. And you know, it's crazy. You know, it comes in a way. It comes back. You pay it forward. It comes back tenfold. In a way, in a very spiritual way. You know, and I love that maybe because it's just, you know, and if I do get upset, I'm kind of in a bad mood. I find myself getting a little crazy. I go, check yourself, man. I check myself. You know what I mean? I don't really. You know what I mean? I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't always check myself, and sometimes, and it always seems to be with the people who are the closest to me, that love me the most, that I'm just like, the filter goes. And I've really had to learn that, like, hey man, count to 10. Don't hurt someone that's kind to you.
Yeah.
Don't hurt them, you know, because it's, I mean, you know, when you know, I mean, that's something it took me a long time to learn, but.
Me too. I mean, you know, there are a lot of, you know, and, you know, I mean, there's a lot, so many issues. And, you know, it's like, of course, the people closest to you, you know, they're the one to feel it the most. But, you know, you and I always come from a good place in our heart. We always have. You know what I mean? That's who we are, man, you know? And I love that. Hey, so I talk about Dizzy Up the Girl because I went to the Dizzy Up the Girl anniversary show. It was so great, man.
That was fun.
Like Black Balloon and Slide. Let's talk about, I mean, those songs they're such great tunes. Tell me about writing that record. I want to talk about those songs.
I mean, it was a pretty intense time because we had some success with Boy Named Goo with Name, and that was a pretty substantial hit, but it was nothing like Iris, you know. And then Iris came out on the soundtrack while we were working on Dizzy Up the Girl, and it was just such. I don't know, man. I was like, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. You know, it's so cliche to say that, but it was. I'm going through a divorce, and even if it's a friendly divorce or a civil divorce, it still tears the guts out of you. You know?
There's that sense of loss. There's that sense and that emptiness, you know?
Yeah.
I'll never forget when one of my best friends, Ethan Stein, committed suicide, and I was going through a divorce at the same time. So I was no longer with my wife. And I remember going to his funeral and then dropping my daughter off. And this feeling of, even though the marriage needed to be over. I mean, you're right. It was, you know, we were young. I still felt this like so gutted and alone. You know that feeling like when you're like, holy shit. It's just a crazy thing to go through. But what I love you've done is you've turned it into song, you know? So talk to me about
I mean, I'm really blessed that I get to do that. And it's like, that's one of the things about music, man. I mean, if you don't play an instrument, the fact that there's songs out there. And the thing that I love most about being able to be a songwriter is when every day when I'm on tour, somebody comes up to me and says, man, I relate to that. I'm that guy. Or I was right in that same spot as you. I get what you mean, or that song helped me, or you know, my mom is dying of cancer, and she listened to that. We played her that song, and it's just like moments like that are just. I mean, they're heavy, but they're beautiful, man. Those aren't cheap moments.
Yeah.
Those are moments that are like, yo, like, let's have some respect here, you know.
No, I feel like, I mean, that's the amazing thing about when you touch people with music and how much it means to them. And they tell you, I love, when people tell me, and I'm the messenger, right? So I'm not a songwriter. But I love what I've done, through radio and, MTV, all the TV stuff, because I like to turn people on to music. But you as a songwriter, it's like that feeling that you're talking about. Like when people come up to me and they'll say, man, you molded my musical taste. You changed my life with 120. You made me feel all right that I could be a geek and care about music more than the guy next or woman next to me. And, those things are beautiful. And it's for you. You write these songs, Johnny, that really, you touch people. Even the rockers, like I said, I love that song Lazy Eye on the Batman soundtrack.
I'm going to cut that again.
You do it like acoustic thing or like a...
Cut it acoustic.
Do it, man. Do it and send. You got to do it and send it to me because I love that song, man.
Bro.
I just I just blast that in my car. Oh, I could go back as I did with many of your records, which is so cool. And so I know Miracle Pill was great. I know you worked too with Sam Hollander, who's a great friend, a mutual friend of ours. We love Sam.
You know Sam. Is there anyone you don't know? Can we let's just go to the short list and go, Matt Pinfield doesn't know this. But everybody else, everybody. Sam is a genius and a lovely human being. So giving. Just so much fun to work with. We hang out, laugh, talk, and then maybe we write a song.
He's the coolest guy. So we had him on here too. He's on the show.
Yeah.
And I love Sam. And you know what he did for me? Since I'm from Central Jersey and you live in Jersey now, he introduced me to this guy named Elliot Lurie, who I always wanted to meet because he was a guy in The Looking Glass who wrote Brandy, You're a Fine Girl in the 70s. But he also was a guy who did music supervision at like a bunch of the studios here in Hollywood for years.
Wow.
And he's from my town, like my area in Rutgers. And I was like, I really want to meet him. So Sam set it up. So we had dinner with him. And it was so much fun. Sam's just a brother. In fact, the last time I saw, out of Schlesinger, I was with him and with him and Sam. But Sam's the best, man. He's such a great guy and such a great songwriter and just full of love, And it's right. And then
Sam. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Johnny. I was going to say, and also, I know you recently wrote a little bit with a friend of mine, Cass Dillon, who is a great friend of mine from Long Island, who I love. Alex from Jersey too. All those dudes.
Yeah, Alex. It's been fun. I was very much a solitary guy, taking the singer-songwriter thing and then just putting it through Marshalls and playing it too loud and fast. But which when we get to the albums, one of the things that I want to discuss with you is just is Bob Mould and the melodic nature of his music. But I forgot what I was going to say. But like Sam, man, he is so talented. You know what I love about him? He'll take off, go to the bathroom, do whatever, and he'll come back, come blasting back into the room. Wait a minute, I got it. And then, how the hell do you do that? How do you do that, man?
Sam's a magical guy, man. He's so great. I met him because he worked on. I signed Midtown band from Jersey, and I did an album with them at Columbia when I was doing A&R. Mm-hmm. And then the band broke up, and Gabe Supporter, who was Cobra Starship, he did the early demos, Sam, and that's how we became friends. We found out we both loved Sly and the Family Stone, and we were like just talking about records.
Wow.
And we've got a friendship ever since. And I'm so glad you worked with them because, like I said, it's good people. It's a good people thing, too. But I want to go to your album now because you have some great stuff.
Okay.
And I love these records and these artists. And I got to tell you, this, I'm going to bring up this. I'm going to bring up, you know what, man? I know that you were going to cut one out, but we're going to do it anyway. I don't care. let's talk about Billy Bragg. Life's Alright with Spy versus Spy. Because, dude, I love him. I love things like Love Gets Dangerous. I love A New England was like one of my favorite songs.
That's what turned me on the college radio station. You know,
Yeah.
when at WBNY playing Billy Bragg's New England, I'm like, what the hell is this? You know?
Yeah. Tell me why you love that record. Is it just because of the simplicity of him?
I liked the fact that he's a singer-songwriter with an electric guitar, you know, and that Cockney kind of you know, East End kind of accent or whatever it is. I don't know, but it's and the things that he was singing about. I mean, the guy was a raving communist or whatever, you know. And very, very left-leaning, and it was political, and it was intelligent, but it was beautiful and sentimental at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, and it just moved me. And like his love songs, you know, there's a song called "Greetings to the New Brunette." You remember that? Oh my God. Shirley, oh, you know. Just a great songwriter, and the simplicity and the heart that went into it.
Yeah, he's a lovely man. You know, I saw him opening for the Smiths on the Meet His Murder tour. Mm-hmm. I think it was him or Frank. I can't remember, or maybe it was Queenie's dad. But we became friends, you know, because of this that charity Road Recovery, and we did a concert with a bunch of people at Sing Sing Prison on our Wayne Kramer, and it was me, Wayne Kramer. It was. You know, I was just a host, but it was Tom Morello, Wayne Kramer, Perry Farrell, Don Was, Billy Bragg. It was, and you know, Billy and I, we went out for coffee in the morning, and we were talking about how great that Verve song, "The Drugs Don't Work," was, and you know, because obviously, you know, we've been through our things, but the song was actually, he goes, you know, but the song is actually about Richard Ashcroft's father, you know, and the cancer drugs that did not work. Mm-hmm. The song was really about, but you could make it, you know, but he's just Billy Bragg. What a cool dude. Did you ever hear that song by him called Sulk? That was like the B-side of You Woke Up My Neighborhood. You gotta listen to, you gotta check this out.
I will check that out.
Oh, he wrote it. He wrote it in 15. Yeah, Sulk, like S-U-L-K. He wrote it in 15 minutes when he's recording it for Apache as a B-side. It is brilliant. You gotta listen to it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I it's something I wanted to turn you on to. Now, your next album is Echo and the Bunnymen, man. One of the most beautiful album covers, although most of their album covers were gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love Echo and the Bunnymen.
On the album artwork.
Heaven Up Here you picked. So talk to me about Heaven Up Here.
Well, you know, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, very blue collar, early to mid 80s, you know, kind of thing going on. And it just, I couldn't listen to the rock station there because it was just the music to me. I couldn't resonate with what was going on, you know. I mean, and it's interesting because there's still a station in Buffalo that's playing, has the same playlist they had in 1979. They're still playing the same songs.
Benny Marconis and stuff like that. Like, you're right.
Yeah, it's like, let's get the lead out, you know, and 5 Led Zeppelin songs, which are great, but it's just like, you know, I just didn't relate to it. And I, you know, and through a local art gallery called Hall Walls, and they used to show, before there was MTV, they would show these films of like bands from, you know, from England. And I just, it was very interesting time there. And then once again, WBNY, the college radio station, I heard this song, and I was dating a girl who lived on the other side of town. Her family had some money, and she was very hip and cool, and she had money to buy all these cool records, and she turned me on to that, and I was just so blown away. Will Sargent, still to this day, is one of my favorite guitar players because there's dissonance, but there's beauty under the noise, you know. And the album was so sparse, and Pete DeFreitas, the drummer in that band, just what a fucking pocket that guy had, man. He's sticking arm in that pocket, You know?
Yeah, and Mac is Ian
McCulloch
McCulloch.
was like Ian McCulloch. What a great singer. What passion. He was a crooner. He was a crooner. Like,
yeah.
and like, you know, and they're from Manchester. And like
Yeah.
arguably one of the toughest cities.
They were Northern England, right? Like Liverpool, Manchester, that area. And you know, man, I loved that band so much. So it's really funny.
That they were from.
Oh, they're actually from Liverpool.
Liverpool, right? Okay, I'm sorry. I take that back. Sorry.
It's still Northern England. They're North Country boys, they say. But I love those records, man. And Ian McCulloch and I used to go out and get pretty fucked up. I mean, we were pretty wild. And one night I remember, speaking of being a crooner, he was playing Maxwell's doing a solo. I think it was Candle or the second solo album. And he's like, I go, Mac, I don't know if I can go out with you tonight, man, because I know I'm waking to work tomorrow. He goes, yes, you are. He wanted me to, I went, he got the car service that he had. He wanted me to show him like North Jersey. He wanted to see where Frank Sinatra went to high school because he loves Sinatra. It was just so cool. But I love him. I recently reached out to him because he was supposed to play this Cruel World Festival that my friend was putting on with all these bands, Cyphers and a bunch of other people, which it would be rescheduled. But he and I were texting each other because I want to see if it was still the same number in England. But he's a good dude, man. What a great singer, though, right? I mean, all those records, Ocean Rain, I love that, Crocodiles.
Yeah. Ocean Rain was a really great record. You know what I loved? I got to see them at the college when I was in high school. But what I loved about it was he had a guy, his guitar tech, would come out and put a guitar around his neck and hand him a cigarette, lit. He starts singing and he got that cigarette, and I was just like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life." You know? Yeah, it was great.
Mac exuded cool, and still does. I mean, I love him. You know, he's a funny guy. I remember, I got so many stories with him. There's just many I can't tell here, at least not right now. But I'll tell you some other time. We did so much crazy shit, but I had a lot of fun with him. Anyway, you know, I just love his voice, and I can't wait till we can all play live music again, and we can see live music, and we can hang out, and we'll get there. The next record you picked,
we'll get there.
I love the album. It's the first double album for ELO, which was Out of the Blue. And And Turn to Stone, when I opened that record, man, I love that track. There's so many things on there, and that's what a great record. Mr. Blue Sky, that stuff is just.
I was so blown away at how unique it was, which is, you know, and I know, see, that was one of the things that kind of ticked me off about, you know, that like you have to all these rules. It's like I loved ELO, and they were so incredibly overproduced, like, but I loved it, you know.
Me too.
It's just such brilliant songs, you know, and the Beatles influence was obviously there, but it was like nothing I had ever heard before because it had a very, very polished sort of production to it. But it's just, I don't know. There was such precision in it, but it was just such fine musicianship and tight songwriting.
Yeah. You know? I love those records, man. Like even the one before, the New World Record with Living Thing, and the one before that, Face the Music. I love Strange Magic, Evil Woman. I love those songs, man.
What was the album with Telephone Line on?
That was a New World Record. And it had
that's a great record too.
Oh, it's a great Tightrope. I mean, that was so good. That record was incredible. I love the fact that he ended up working, you know, doing the Traveling Wilburys, you know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, working with a Beatle because he was obviously inspired by the Beatles. So working with George.
Yeah.
So cool.
I mean, that was amazing. I mean, and like, the way, and I love Tom Petty. And I love the really early stuff. Who produced that? I don't know.
Denny Cordell, I think did the first two Petty albums with, you know, the one with Breakdown, American Girl, and Rock You, and then You're Gonna Get It. He did. There was those two records that were on Shelter, right? And I love those two albums, man.
Brilliant. You know, and that was another thing about Tom Petty. It was cool like Tom Petty, even if you were into the Clash and
he was the one guy that everybody liked. I remember bringing that first album to high school, and like the Deadheads loved it. Like the metal. Like everybody, Tom Petty was he was this uniting force, you know.
He was like, he defied everything there, you know. I mean, and then you have that period, and then you have that Dave Stewart period of Tom Petty, where Don't Come Around Here No More, that kind of very kind of new wave drum machine kind of thing, and then you have the Jeff Lynne period, the Full Moon Fever thing.
What an album!
Wow, it was just so over the top good, And
that record is so amazing. That was one of those things when I got Full Moon Fever, I went, holy shit! Look how long. Look, this guy has. He's come out with another incredible classic album. That album was amazing, start to finish. Running down a dream, and I just love that whole record so much. And we needed it at that time. I think you know what I mean. It was just one of the greatest albums ever. Now we were talking about Twin Tone, and we were talking about Minneapolis, and the next record you picked. I was wearing the shirt the other day here on the show. Yeah, I was wearing a New Day Rising shirt, but I have this today. It's Give 'Em Enough Rope by the Clash. But anyway, yeah, I love that you picked Fisker New Day Rising. You and I love Bob Mould. So tell me why you love that record. I just want to hear.
My thing about Bob Mould, I'm more of a fan of the Bob Mould songs than the Grant Hart songs. But I mean, I love them both. But they have their own merits. I just was drawn more to Bob's song, and it was because it was so like a cacophonous, I guess. I don't even know if that's a word, but to those albums they sounded so fucking bad, but they were so great, and the guitar it was just I started to feel like I was hearing things in this crazy distorted guitar, and I believe that he used alternate tunings in that, but his lyrics were just so knock you on your ass, potent, like yeah, this is pain, feel it.
I love Bob. That's the thing, and that record's great. Bob had me come out, him and Grohl. Come out and do this thing. He did a tribute. There was a tribute when his book came out, See a Little Light. They did a show at the Walt Disney Music Hall, Johnny. And
really?
And yet at the end, Dave Grohl on drums with Bob Mould playing New Day Rising. It was like thunder.
Yeah.
It was like people remember, and they were like, Dave Grohl, yes, great drummer. Yeah. He was just like, it was insane.
I wish I would have seen that.
Yeah, man. I would have. Yeah, I know you would have loved it. I think it actually exists as a film. And we did it kind of like a straight. It does. It exists as a film. It's called Bob Mould See a Little Light, and it's a concert that night. And I hosted it. I did like a storyteller thing where I'm on stage with like Britt Daniel from Spoon and Margaret Cho and Dave Grohl and Ryan Adams and all these people. It was really fucking cool night. I was honored to be asked. I mean, I was so honored to be there. I got to be honest with you. You have such great records on here, man. Because you and I love the same stuff. Kiss Alive. Can't go wrong. I mean, let's talk about that. We love Kiss, especially early stuff too, right? Yeah,
I love Kiss. I guess my relationship with Kiss was this. I grew up in a house with 4 older sisters, right? The oldest being 10 years older than me, to the youngest next in age to me being 2 years older than me. So I grew up listening to everything that girls listen to. So at that time, and then I think, God, it was like, I had to be like, I mean, that album came out in what, 75?
Yeah, like 75, yeah. There were 3 studio albums before that. I was like,
there were the 3 studio albums, which they, of course, repackaged as the originals. And
they did that, yeah, with the
I love, they'll sell anything. Gene Simmons will sell anything.
Yeah, it's great, though.
But that record, I heard that record, and I had never heard the studio albums. And I just heard that record and was blown away. The makeup, the sound of it. I think they're singing about sex. Oh my God,
That was it. I loved that when I was a kid. Of course, we heard that. It's like it's about sex. It's about girls. Like it gave you that kind of empowerment feeling when you're young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
You're one of your rockers to be into that, at that period of time when you're,
yeah.
And they were great.
And then my relationship with Kiss ended after Dynasty. I think that's when it ended. That's when I started to find other things. I just wasn't into it anymore. But this is a crazy story. I listened to Kiss Alive so much as a kid that maybe 30 years later, we were standing on a stage sound checking, and I started playing all these Kiss songs that I had never tried to learn, but I knew them because they'd been so driven into my brain that it was like, and you fumble a little bit, but like it was like you could play these songs, and they were so influential on me as a boy. It was the first time I identified with fucking testosterone.
Yeah. Yeah, they were definitely that band. They were.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, so great, Johnny. It's funny. I told this story, I think, yesterday, or at least one of the shows, but, because I narrated the Second Coming DVD. At then it was 2 VHSs. At some point, I was, Gene had taken me out to lunch to thank me for doing the job for them. And I ended up going to Kohl's in LA, the rehearsal space.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, my friend JJ ran. Like, I'm still really, JJ's one of my buddies, but I didn't know him then. But Gene brings me, and there's Peter and Ace in the parking lot going, "Hey man, where the fuck have you been?" And he goes, "Hey man, I was thinking about out to lunch." So we go in, and Paul doesn't show up for like 2 hours. So Gene has me get in his boots. Like, the guy brings the boots for Psycho Circus from the Love Gun, original Love Gun ones, and he goes,
"Wow,
put those on." And I put them on. I almost broke my ankle. I mean, it's like, he's a big guy. He goes, "Imagine walking around in that for 2.5 hours a night." And then I was looking at the music sheet that was on the music stand. I go, "Oh, all the classics." He goes, "You like that list?" I said, "Yeah, man. I used to do a lot of these songs. When I was in a band when I was a kid." He goes, "You want to have a go?" So I sang Rock Bottom, Do You Love Me, and 100,000 Years with Gene, Peter, and Ace.
Wow.
It was that cool. It was like surreal. I mean,
you've had an amazing life. I'm just like, who does it?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I'm very grateful. That was like, I got back, and my second ex-wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she was in town because the VMAs were there. We were both at the hotel. She goes, "Man, you're just so wired up." I'm like, "I don't think you understand. I just sang with Kiss." Like, I was so like, it was just like the craziest kid dream. And Peter gave me 2 drumsticks, set up Kiss drumsticks, and I gave one to my friend Earl Brown, the actor, from Deadwood. He's in a bunch of stuff, but huge Kiss fan. So I was like, "You can have one of these, brother." Because
that was awesome.
Kids to the LA Zoo. We would like take our kids to the LA Zoo in like carriages. So but that was cool. It was what an amazing experience that was. So anyway, you guys have so many great records on here. Let's talk about. Truly one of the greatest compilations of all time is Hot Rocks by the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
I love that compilation. I think everybody in the world, everybody who liked rock owned that record at one time.
Everyone in the world owned that record. It's probably sold 1.5 billion copies. We were broke, man. My family was broke ass, and so it was always this thing because everybody in my family, all my sisters loved music. So it's like, well, you wait for the greatest hits to come out. That way you get all the good stuff, because we couldn't afford to go deep, So you wait for the compilations to come out, and that record was it was everywhere. It was in the house on the turntable all the time, and it was just amazing. And I used to sit there. I remember skipping school, pretending to be sick, and my grandmother lived with us, and just playing that record, and looking at that gatefold with that collage of photos inside there. And it was like, man, this is heavy. And just being a little kid and playing Gimme Shelter over and over and over, just to hear Mary Clayton's voice crack.
Oh, it's the best.
and Mick Jagger goes, woo, you know, way off in the background. And you're just like, mind blowing. Still one of the greatest accidental maybe moments in rock music, just something magic that was caught, you know?
Yes. I mean, you know, Mary Clayton was like called in the middle of the night to do that track. And she was pregnant, you know the story? So she was pregnant. So she's hitting those high notes. Whoa, children. And she's like, dude, she's pregnant. And she finally eventually says, you go, you want to do another take? She goes, if I see that one more time, my water's going to break.
Yeah.
Well, then she did. So when you hear that, give me shelter, that was it. She was like, I'm done. It was funny, man. What a trooper. She came out at 3 a.m. and recorded that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those moments, man, like lightning in a bottle. Just
yeah, man. I love that. That's the beauty of music, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the perfections and the imperfections. And for me, like with the Stones, I was talking about Street Fighting Man yesterday. I love that song. I always said that I love the fact that Charlie comes in late on the second verse.
Yeah.
You know, he comes in late, but you're just, once you know it, you're waiting for it. It's just so good.
It can't be any other way. You know, and it's interesting when I look back, because we live in a time right now where the computer is king, and auto-tune and very hard timed production is very much, and I'm starting to shy away from using a lot of digital stuff, and because it's just, I listen, 2 bands stick out in my mind, Zeppelin and the Stones. And I cannot believe when I listen back to those records after being in a studio, using an auto tuner, using all this gritting and all this crap that's just, that can very easily suck the soul out of music, and going back and listening to those albums where they have 8 tracks, maybe 16 tracks. Now you have 5,000 if you want, and how out of time and out of key and out of tune some of it is, but it's so fucking good. It's so real. It's a moment, and like we need more of that back, you know. And I feel that, man. And like it doesn't matter, you know. Like the Beatles records are very tight, and the vocals and Beach Boys level Pet Sounds. It's just Brian. It's just so brilliant, and such a gifted, like God came down and touched him, you know. But you know, and those records are perfection. But when you get those greasy Stones records and the Zeppelin stuff, and it's dirty, man. It's dirty, you know.
You know, amazing. I was talking about this earlier today with my ex-wife, and about how Zeppelin. We were talking about like we were in a conversation because Linda Perry on her show on We Are Here had Sharon Osbourne. I was telling this funny story about Sharon and I, and about her, and I was explaining her dad, you know, had managed Don Arden, you know, like ELO and Sabbath, and you know, Jet Records was his label, and then we got into the Peter Grant story for a minute with Zeppelin. But I was saying to her, you know, Zeppelin 2 was recorded on the road. Like, it sounds like one cohesive record made in one place. Yeah. And he was taking tapes all around, like on days off in America, making Zeppelin 2. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, okay, this is unrelated but related. And to make the point of, a lot of times it's not the studio. I mean, it's not the studio. It's not the amp and the guitar or the set of drums. It's the guy sitting behind him playing it. And I was lucky enough to get to see, oh my God, Phil Collins sit down at a set of drums and start playing. And you're like, holy fuck, it's Phil Collins. It sounds like Phil Collins.
Yeah, you know? That guy's crazy.
Oh,
you know, so talented as a singer.
Run that guy had. Just think about that. All the stuff with Genesis, then just that massive string of hits, and those songs are so well written, whether you like them or not, and I just remember 1985, I think it was, and I was in college listening to his duet, the best two-guy duet ever. And I want to ask you what your favorite one is. Easy Lover.
Oh, it's great. I love that.
Really? Mind-blowing
song.
It's so good.
Love it.
You know, what's your like guy?
Yeah. Well, you know, I really do love. I mean, I love that Philip Bailey song, "Easy Lover." I mean, it's just great. It's a great pop song. And you know, I had a conversation with Brandon Flowers of the Killers about "That's All" because it's a pop song. "That's All" by Genesis. Yeah. That's kind of dark, and he goes, "That scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. It just seemed too dark." But he loves it, you know, now. But it's such a funny story. But no, I love that stuff. I mean, I even like a lot of stuff on those first two Phil solo records, man. Yeah. You know, like "I Cannot Believe It's True" with the Earth, Wind, and Fire horns. It's a beautiful song, and it's a great song about a breakup. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when I was going through breakups, I put that song on. Just a great tune. Yeah, what a career, right? And you know, and Gabriel too, which is great. You know, I mean, I just love all those guys. I mean, just
you know, I just like my relationship with Genesis. It was before me, pretty much. But you know, I didn't like the Peter Gabriel Genesis records, which I know is blasphemy, but I like Genesis after he left, and I love all those Peter Gabriel solo records. He is mind-blowing. Like what he was another guy. No matter who you were a stoner. You know, all the punk kids, everybody loved Peter Gabriel.
They did. Yeah.
I mean, it was like, because he was an innovator, a true fucking innovator. And so were the guys in Genesis as well, you know?
Oh, yeah. I love this guy. So, and Peter's really, what a nice man he is as well. I was telling a story the other day about me brushing my teeth in the bathroom and him pissing and going, "Peter, is that you?" I said, because like we had to walk around the hallway. It's a funny story. I mean, it's just like the most ridiculous thing.
Well, but no, tell us the story.
Oh, well, it was just funny because I was seeing this girl. I told it before on the show, but I'll just quickly tell you, I was seeing a girl. I stayed at her house uptown in Harlem, you know, and then I came back. So I was brushing my teeth because I didn't go home, you know what I mean, do any of that. And Peter's taking a piss. I just go, "Peter, is that you?" And he goes, "Oh, yes, it is." And then I told him, so I gave him a CD of Heather Nova, I think it was, covering "I Have the Touch" on the Phenomenon soundtrack, that John Travolta movie. So he came to my office. We walked around, went to his meeting he had about that, you know, his organization Witness. And he goes, "You're going to come in?" And I look in, and it's all the major heads of all the MTV networks. I'm like, "Oh, no, Peter, I actually have to go to another meeting." Like they would have, if I had walked in there, they would have been like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" But he was a great guy. What a great dude. Really nice man. But anyway, two more albums you have that are actually, they're two of the most important albums in my life too. One is "Who's Next?" The Who. Oh my God. Let's talk about that. Tell me why you love that, because it's just so great.
Because I think Pete Townsend is one of the guys that doesn't get enough credit for being an influence on alternative rock. You know, because they were a stadium rock band forever, you know, but his lyrical content was always so much more intelligent than a lot of, and that's what drew me to it. And just the power of Keith Moon and you know, when you listen to those records, once again, this is dorky production talk, but you put the headphones on, you listen to that record, and you're like, "Man, the guitars on the Who are so huge." And then you listen, you're like, "Wow, the guitar's over here, and it's not that loud." And you're hearing the keyboards and the drums and Entwistle going bananas on the thing, and Daltrey singing. Those records are just so good. And once again, it's the craft of the songwriting. And you know, look at that album though. Like, what's on that album? Baba O'Reilly. Like, yeah, man. This is insane anthems, you know. I have the list, the track list there somewhere.
Yeah, go Mobile, Won't Get Fooled Again, Behind Blue Eyes.
Again.
I mean,
the way they redefined themselves. It was kind of, to me, it was like Who's Next was kind of like when the Stones kind of went out of the '60s thing. And what was the album that sort of started the 70s for the Stones. Was that
Sticky Fingers?
Was it Sticky Fingers or Exile?
Yeah, it says Sticky Fingers and Exile.
Yeah. The band changed, and to me that was kind of where the Who kind of redefined themselves for an entire another decade. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
You know, I think that's just my opinion.
You know what? Your opinion is shared by a lot of people because I've heard it said many times that Who's Next was the defining album that started the 70s and represented album-oriented rock for the decade.
Yeah.
When you think about it, Johnny, you know, it was originally that project called Lifehouse. Two really interesting things about that is that Pete Townsend predicted the internet and what we're going through right now in Lifehouse. That's what it was about. I mean, Lifehouse.
I've never heard that.
It's unbelievable. It's like,
I don't know, where do you get this album? I mean,
Lifehouse was what I bought a box set because I love Townsend, love the Who. Called Lifehouse Chronicles. He meant it to be another rock opera like Tommy,
right?
But he was like struggling through it, and some of those songs ended up on other things like "Pure and Easy," which ended up on Odds.
I love that song.
What a great song, man! Right? There once the note, listen, but the whole idea was about the grid. Townsend predicted it in 1960.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing. Getting back to Bob Mould.
Yeah.
Divide and Conquer. Go back and listen to the lyrics on the song, on the Husker Du song, Divide and Conquer. He's talking about 9-digit zip codes in the global village and all these things. And it's just like, it was well before that. I mean, we were informed about things going that way, but the way he just encapsulated it into that song, it's just like angst about the future. You know, and the uncertainty of the future. And we're living it now.
Yeah. We certainly are, man. It's crazy. And, you know, like I said, Townsend, we'll go back to Townsend for just a second. I'll just say that. That almost drove him mad. It was a really rough time for him. But I mean, then again, so was Quadrophenia because Pete Townsend is so great. He would put all that pressure on himself to create all these things. And that guy, a genius. He's one of my all-time favorites. I love Townsend.
You know what? I don't know how many people know about these records. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know about it, but Scoop, Pete Townsend, the demos, and it's ridiculous how good those songs are. You know, and what a cool voice he has. You know, Adultery is the greatest, you know, one of the greatest rock singers of the 70s, you know. But man, Townsend singing those songs on those Scoop
demos,
really
cool. Like that's so it's funny because Lifehouse then became out of the ashes of Lifehouse was Who's Next. That was
right. So that's how it turned out, huh?
It turned out, and it turned out to be one of the greatest albums of all time, and then followed by another one of the greatest albums of all time, Quadrophenia. I mean, I love those records, you know.
I love Quadrophenia. I love that, man.
You know, I got to tell Townsend that album changed my life because, you know, I was a young, disenfranchised youth. You know, like
he was very good at speaking to that.
Yeah,
I think he really felt a lot of that. You know.
Yeah.
I was only in the room with him once, and I was terrified. I couldn't talk to him.
He's so big too. He's a big dude. Man.
But I mean, he's kind of surly. I was just sort of like, nah, I'm not going over and saying hi. You know, it's like, you know.
Believe me, he knows every one of your songs. He's like this. He like Elton, never stops listening to new music and checking things out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there and I hear Townsend talking in my ear about doing it, and everybody's like, "Yeah, I like I love the first Kaiser Chiefs album. I like most of the second one." It's like, you know, he's keeping up. I remember because it was around that time.
Yeah.
And we were talking by Southwest. I was doing an interview with him, and I'll just never forget that. How wild it was hearing him talk in my ear because the Who are so important to us. Now, the last record, Johnny, that you picked is such an important record to all of us because, I mean, this band really, they were a marker, a divider, a new era for guys like you and me as we were getting older, and it's The Clash, the very first Clash album.
Yeah.
So tell me why you love that record. I mean, obviously we love them all, but almost all of them. Not Cut the Crap. That's okay, but that's not real good.
Yeah, but because it burnt down the building. That record burnt down the building and then rewrote the rules and really, yeah, I don't think it was an exaggeration when they used to, be called the only band that matters. And
Yeah, right.
yeah, man, they're the only band that matters. And just the talent, the level of songwriting and the melodic nature and the structure of it, but taking so many risks and being very political. And you didn't have an internet where you could look up all these things. You had to go find out, what they were singing about in a lot of ways, and it was just, I don't know. It was, wow, this is so smart. These guys, it's so cool. You didn't have the big, bloated rock thing. It was so, and going back on YouTube, there's interviews with Tom Snyder, the Tomorrow Show on YouTube with The Clash, and they're talking about The Clash. And it was just so exciting to go back and watch those and just watch that interview, and Sturmer's like, yeah, well, we're like the newspaper. We're like picking up a newspaper. That's what we're bringing the news to the people. It was so exciting, it felt like they were going to change the world. And in a lot of ways they did. And in a lot of ways they didn't. But
yeah, exactly. But it's funny, the cover of Police and Thieves, which is such a great song, was a song originally done by Junior Murvin. It wasn't even that old as a reggae song when they covered it, but they needed a song. And I love the story. Now, Elvis Costello, my friend Alex Coletti was producing this Elvis Costello show called Spectacle. And I remember when Elvis was interviewing the Police and Andy Summers was on there, and they both said that cover of Police and Thieves inspired the Police to do Can't Stand Losing You, Roxanne, and it inspired Elvis. Elvis said, it made me write Watching the Detectives. So it's like, gosh, that's how inspirational, right? It's pretty amazing.
It took a lot of balls. And you know what I loved about The Clash too was that look at the body of work from what, like 1976 they probably got together?
Yeah.
To 80, what?
82, 83. I can't remember when. To be the last album.
My God, man. It's insane. The metamorphosis from the three chords and the truth or whatever, and then the experimentation with reggae and dub and the funk and rap it was amazing, man. And then you come back with Combat Rock and you're just like, whoa, it's a mainstream album with massive hits on it that's still fucking cool.
Yeah, a great song. Great.
Possibly the tightest pop song ever written, which I thought was so cool, was Train in Vain, which was a hidden track on London Calling, right?
Yes, and it's a really funny story because I love the Clash used to pull this shit. They wanted to, and I love them for that. They wanted to basically get over on the record company. So they wanted the records to be cheaper. So what they did was they told the record company with London Calling that it was one album and one EP, so they could sell it cheaper.
Wow, that's amazing.
Pretty amazing story. Yeah, they basically lied to Epic and CBS.
What I thought was amazing too was what I was told. I don't know. You would know for sure. I don't know for sure. But that Sandinista, they gave up a certain number of albums had to sell before they got their royalties because it was like a triple album. They wanted it to be the price of one album, right?
They literally wanted to be the price of one or 1.5. And that was the same thing with London Calling. I mean, they were cool, man. I love them for breaking the rules.
Yeah, and doing it with complete fearlessness, at least on the outside.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Johnny, man, I love you, dude. I
love you, Matt.
I just want to say thank you so much for doing the show today, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm going to be out in Los Angeles very soon. I'd love to come sit 6 feet away from you and catch up.
Let's say you, me, Pat, Rick Krim, get a crew together.
Why not?
Be awesome. Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Listen, I love you, Johnny. please say hello to your family and to Robbie for me. And
Yes.
I had so much fun with you today. Talking about music and life.
I always learn something, Matt, but I love you, man. Thank you so much.
I love you too, Johnny, very much, man. So thanks for being here. And we'll see you soon. It's great. I'm Matt Pinfield. That's Johnny Rzeznik of the Google Dolls. What a great time we had today. Time just flies whenever he and I are, as you know, Johnny, when we're hanging out, we just could talk and tell stories, talk about music forever. And it's so much fun. And, well, you know, we do this for Music Cares. And, you know, if you do have some money to donate, we understand that that's great. And also if you don't, we just want to be a way for you to stop thinking for a little while about the COVID and how crazy things are in the world right now. So that's what it's all about for us. It's the music. Music's always the thing that gets you through. And I'm just so grateful to be here and hang out with my friends on this thing called In a Lonely Place. Again, you're right, Johnny. Great Humphrey Bogart movie, right, man? Smith songs.
Gloria Graham's in that.
Yeah, man. So great. Love that. So tomorrow we have my friend Ed Rowland. There's a mutual friend of Johnny and mine, Ed Rowland from the
Hi, Ed, for me.
Yeah, I will certainly say hi to for you. And then on Friday we have Pete Wentz from Fallout Boy. So it's a great week. And as usual, it's so much fun. So I want to, of course, thank Johnny Rzeznik, Pat Magnarella, Rick Krim, who's been helping book with Chris Trevero, Renee Mata, Kerry Brown, Linda Perry, all the other guys, Aaron, everybody who works on the show, and Andre from Proper Platforms. So everybody who's working together on this show, thank you for all your work. And I love doing it. I want you folks to have a great evening. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, keep the music in your heart. I'm Matt Pinfield.